Stephen never intended to stay in the village. He arrived there after taking indefinite leave following his divorce. Catching his beloved wife in the arms of his own friend was a shock, yet his decision was swift and calm. He didn't even hit anyone, just threw his now former friend out and told his wife calmly, "I'm going to the countryside for a month. Please remove all your belongings from my apartment. Let's avoid any trouble, or I'll make your betrayal public across the city." She worked in the city administration and was about to become a council member. He knew her public image meant everything to her, so he was confident she'd comply quietly. Stephen wanted a fresh start, and early the next morning, he drove off to the village where he had spent many summers as a child. His grandparents lived there, and those days were the happiest of his childhood. Arriving at his old home, he felt a surprising warmth. Thanks to his neighbor, Colin, whom he regularly gifted with useful items, like a rubber boat or a new milk separator, the house looked neat and cared for, not abandoned. Colin immediately greeted him with enthusiasm, surprised that Stephen planned to stay at least a month. Excited, Colin quickly planned an evening celebration, inviting Stephen to a barbecue after the sauna. When Colin saw the gift Stephen brought, a high-end, professional fishing reel he'd long dreamed about, he felt embarrassed but delighted. "I don't deserve such expensive gifts," he muttered, though his eyes shone with happiness. Later, Colin's wife, Nora, brought Stephen some homemade food. Stephen hesitated, but she insisted warmly, "You have enough to deal with cleaning up. No need to worry about cooking." While Stephen ate, Nora quietly confessed, "Thank you, Stephen. You've changed Colin's life." Ever since the farm collapsed, he turned to drinking. You coming here gave him purpose again. Stephen knew Colin had struggled after losing his job as a mechanic when the collective farm shut down. Colin loved machinery, not alcohol, and seeing him drink heavily after the collapse saddened everyone. But now, Stephen's presence seemed to inspire him. That evening, after enjoying a good sauna and grilled meat, Stephen sat peacefully in Colin's yard when a beautiful, young woman entered through the gate. Stephen immediately noticed her, intrigued. Colin whispered, "That's Olivia. Be careful, though. She's been through a lot. A bad marriage, debts, betrayal, and now she's suspicious of men. She and Nora are good friends." "What happened?" Stephen asked, intrigued. "Her husband was a gambler," Colin explained quietly. "He lost everything, including their apartment, forcing them into the streets. When Olivia finally managed to save some money again, he stole everything and vanished." As Stephen listened, he felt a pang of empathy for her, realizing their pasts were somewhat similar. Olivia rarely accepted help, and Nora was the only one close enough to know her story. Stephen wanted to get to know her better, yet Colin warned, "She's wary of men, especially after everything she's endured." Months passed, and Stephen settled comfortably into rural life, deciding he would stay longer, perhaps permanently. He developed ambitious plans, converting the abandoned workshops into a farm, maybe even establishing an entire farming business. Colin eagerly supported the idea, excited about new opportunities. The idea quickly became a reality, and the old workshops were turned into a thriving farm. Stephen even started planning to open his own stores in town rather than selling produce cheaply to middlemen. Colin became Stephen's trusted partner, responsible for all farm equipment. He even decided to pursue formal education to better manage his responsibilities. Life was almost perfect, except for one thing: Olivia. Stephen had fallen deeply for her, and although their relationship slowly blossomed, Olivia always seemed hesitant. For years passed, but Stephen still didn't understand why Olivia hesitated. Wasn't 4 years enough to prove his sincerity? One day, Stephen noticed Olivia acting strangely, secretly visiting the old abandoned farm. Painful memories of betrayal rushed back, yet he told himself Olivia wasn't like his ex-wife. Still, he couldn't shake off the worry. Determined to confront the truth, he quietly followed her. To his astonishment, he found Olivia surrounded by stray cats she had secretly been caring for. Surprised by Stephen's sudden appearance, Olivia frowned. "What are you doing here?" "I thought I saw you sneaking around, and I just got worried," Stephen stammered. "Thought I was hiding something?" Olivia said coldly, clearly hurt. Stephen felt guilty and quickly apologized, realizing how foolish he was to doubt her. Feeling remorseful, he offered a surprising suggestion. "Why don't we turn this abandoned building into an animal shelter? Colin could help, and our farm could easily manage feeding them. Perhaps we could even find them loving homes online." Olivia stared at him in shock, then her expression softened. "You'd really do that?" "Of course," Stephen replied sincerely. This unexpected act melted Olivia's guarded heart. Soon after, she accepted Stephen's marriage proposal, finally ready to fully trust and love again. The day of their wedding was unforgettable. And just when Stephen thought life couldn't get any better, Olivia revealed one more surprise, shyly telling him she was expecting. Stephen, overwhelmed with joy, hugged Olivia, kissed Colin, Nora, and Mason, and even cuddled the cats. In that moment, Olivia watched him with warmth, thinking perhaps happiness could still find someone, even when they'd long stopped believing in it. Of course. Here's the rewritten story using the new English names we've agreed upon. Stephen had never planned to stay permanently in the village. He arrived there after a difficult divorce, seeking peace and solitude. Catching his wife in his best friend's arms had shattered his trust, prompting him to seek solace far away from the city life he had known. After moving into his old family home, Stephen quickly bonded with his neighbor Colin, gifting him useful tools and equipment. Their friendship deepened rapidly, creating a strong bond of mutual trust. Months passed peacefully until one day, an unexpected storm unleashed chaos. Thunder roared as heavy rains flooded the village, endangering both lives and livestock. Amidst the raging storm, Stephen and Colin heroically organized rescue efforts, braving floodwaters to save trapped families and livestock. Amid the turmoil, Stephen noticed Olivia desperately trying to rescue the animals from the collapsing shelter. Without hesitation, Stephen plunged into the torrent, saving her and the frightened animals from imminent danger. In the aftermath, villagers gathered at Stephen's farm, profoundly grateful for his bravery. Olivia, deeply touched by his courage, finally opened her heart, accepting Stephen's marriage proposal. Their wedding soon became the highlight of village life, celebrated with joy and festivities. However, their happiness faced another challenge when developers arrived, intending to turn the village into a resort. Determined to protect their community, Stephen and Colin rallied the villagers, organizing protests and negotiating fiercely against powerful business interests. After intense debates, Stephen's eloquence and determination prevailed, saving the village from destruction. Years later, their village transformed into a thriving community. Stephen's innovative ideas had revived local agriculture, attracted tourism, and improved everyone's lives. Olivia stood proudly beside him, watching their children play among the fields, confident in their shared future built on strength, compassion, and resilience. Of course. Here's the rewritten story using the new English names we've agreed upon. Stephen had never planned to stay permanently in the village. His initial trip was meant only as a temporary escape from city life after the devastating betrayal by his wife and best friend. However, life had other plans. After settling into his grandparents' old home, Stephen quickly developed a deep friendship with his neighbor Colin, often helping him out by gifting tools and equipment. Their camaraderie flourished, built on mutual trust and respect. Everything changed dramatically one stormy night when heavy rain flooded the village, turning streets into raging rivers. Villagers scrambled to save their belongings and livestock from the deluge. Stephen, seeing Olivia desperately trying to save animals trapped in a collapsing barn, rushed through the storm to help. Battling the fierce winds and rising waters, Stephen heroically rescued Olivia and the terrified animals, earning her admiration and affection. Their bond strengthened rapidly after this epic night. Soon after, during a village celebration honoring Stephen's bravery, Olivia finally accepted his marriage proposal, to everyone's delight. Their joy was short-lived, however, when wealthy developers arrived with plans to demolish part of the village to build a luxury resort. Facing the threat of losing their homes, Stephen rallied the villagers, leading a fierce resistance. The conflict escalated dramatically, culminating in an emotional town meeting. Stephen passionately argued about preserving their heritage and way of life. His moving speech inspired the entire community, who united firmly against the developers. After intense negotiations, Stephen's determination prevailed, saving the village from ruin. Over the years, Stephen's visionary approach transformed the village into a flourishing, prosperous community. Local agriculture thrived, and tourists flocked to experience the authentic charm Stephen cultivated. Colin, under Stephen's guidance, expanded their business by overseeing farm equipment and innovation, greatly contributing to the region's success. Just when life seemed perfect, another challenge arose. One cold winter evening, a fierce blizzard isolated the village from the outside world. A child from a neighboring farm went missing during the blizzard, and the entire village mobilized to help. Leading the search team, Stephen navigated the deadly storm, using all his survival skills to locate the boy. Against all odds, he found him stranded and freezing, sheltering him with his body until rescuers arrived. Returning as heroes, Stephen and the child were greeted with joyous relief and celebration. The story of Stephen's heroism spread far beyond the village, attracting visitors and investors eager to support his thriving community. Eventually, the village even opened a museum showcasing local history, agriculture, and the remarkable resilience of its people. As Stephen and Olivia watched their children playing happily amidst golden fields, they knew their journey had shaped not just their own happiness, but the legacy of an entire village. Stephen had never planned to stay permanently in the village. His initial trip was meant only as a temporary escape from city life after the devastating betrayal by his wife and friend. Yet life had other plans. After heroically rescuing Olivia and animals during a fierce storm, he realized the village had become his true home. Their lives soon faced another dramatic turn when wealthy developers aimed to demolish part of the village to construct a luxury resort. Stephen united the villagers, leading an inspiring resistance that culminated in a victorious emotional town meeting. Their determination saved their homes and strengthened community bonds. The village prospered under Stephen's visionary leadership. Colin became his trusted partner, managing machinery and innovation, greatly contributing to the region's prosperity. Olivia, now Stephen's wife, supported him through every challenge, their bond growing stronger each day. However, peace was disrupted again one harsh winter night when a violent blizzard isolated the village. A child went missing, plunging the community into despair. Stephen bravely led the search through bitter cold, navigating treacherous terrain until he found the child, sheltering him until rescuers arrived. Their safe return cemented Stephen as a beloved local hero. As time passed, the village flourished, attracting visitors and investors impressed by the community's unity and Stephen's courage. They even established a museum showcasing their collective history and resilience, turning their village into a beacon of inspiration. Yet fate still had more surprises. One summer, a raging wildfire threatened the village outskirts. Flames danced menacingly close, consuming trees and wildlife. Villagers scrambled desperately, fearing the loss of everything they'd built. Stephen, refusing to lose hope, led an epic battle against the fire, organizing an efficient evacuation and fighting tirelessly alongside the firefighters. His unwavering bravery and quick thinking turned the tide, saving the village once more. After the flames subsided, Stephen stood amidst the ashes, exhausted yet victorious. The villagers cheered, recognizing him not just as their leader, but their protector. Years passed, and Stephen, Olivia, and their children stood at the village entrance, looking proudly at their flourishing community. Stephen knew now, beyond doubt, that true happiness often hides behind life's toughest trials, waiting patiently to reveal itself to those brave enough to seek it.